everyone, my name is Olivia O, and I'm currently a second-year student in the Inclusive Early Childhood Education program here at BGSU. Today, I'll be talking about how my experience of studying abroad in Morocco has changed the way I view teaching. I traveled to Morocco during the J-term of 2020 with Dr. Christopher Witowski and several other students from BGSU. Our program was called Music and Healing in Morocco, and the main idea was to experience different types of music present in the Moroccan society and to study their cultural and historical significance. Additionally, we traveled to various cities around Morocco, including Fez, Meknes, Casablanca, and Marrakesh, and participated in many cultural activities such as language lessons, traditional craft workshop, and a traditional calligraphy lesson. My time in Morocco was wonderful, but there were also a lot of moments of discomfort and culture shock as well. One of the highlights of my time in Morocco was living with the local host family for the majority of the trip. It wasn't always easy, especially with the language and the cultural barrier, but because of the experience, I was able to do many things that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise as a normal tourist. My favorite memory with my host family was going to a hammam, or public bath. Going to a hammam usually involves taking off your clothes and washing yourself. There are a lot of hammams that are specifically for the tourist, where you don't have to take your clothes off, that I could have gone to if I wanted to stick with what I was comfortable with. However, in the end, I was glad that I went with my host family, as it was definitely a new and shocking experience, but it also taught me that stepping out of my comfort zone can be a rewarding experience. Another time where I experienced a big culture shock was when I attended a ceremony called Lila. I'll be getting into details of what it is and how it works later, but a Lila is a private event and it is very rare for outsiders to be able to see one in person. This was another example of me getting out of my comfort zone, because at first the idea of going to a religious ceremony that involved trance felt almost scary. However, I realized that it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and that I'll never be able to experience it if I stayed with what I was already familiar with. And like that, throughout my time in Morocco, I was constantly challenged to reconsider my view of the world. A lot of things were new and even confusing at first, but they all helped me realize that just because something is different doesn't mean that it is wrong or that it is not important for some people. An idea that I found particularly interesting in Morocco is that music and healing are closely related. Personally, I've only listened to music for entertainment purpose, so the idea that music can heal people was hard to understand at first. The idea of musical therapy, that music can heal a person's illness, isn't actually new or specific to Morocco, as it is present in many other parts of the world, such as the Ottoman Empire. You can see a picture of Maristan Sidi Frej here in the slide, a hospital in Fez that was built in the 13th century, where musicians would come in and play Andalusian music for those who were mentally ill. Maristans were very common across the medieval Islamic world. I have a short clip to help your understanding of what this music sounds like. In addition to the Maristans in Andalusian music, the concept of music and healing can also be found in Gnawa music. Gnawa is a type of music that originated from the Gnawa, an ethnic group who were brought to North Africa on a slave trade from sub-Saharan Africa. Gnawa is played at ceremonies called Lila in a group of musicians who are led by the Ma'alim, or the master musician. Some typical instruments in Gnawa include the gimbri, or skin-covered 3-string bass, a couple of croquettes, they're like big iron castanets, and lastly a tabel, or a double-sided drum. You can see all 3 instruments in the picture here on the right side of the screen, which is from a Lila that I attended. You can also see the ma'alem, or the master musician, in the picture with his yellow hat. I'll play a short clip of Gnawa to help your understanding of what this music sounds like. I mentioned earlier that I had a chance to attend the Gnawa Lila. The word Lila means night in Arabic, and it is a ceremony that starts after sunset and lasts all night. It is a ceremony that also acts as a healing ritual with a lot of cultural and religious significance. A Lila is full of song, chant, music, dance, colorful clothing, and incense, and its ultimate goal is to heal a person's illness, whether physical or mental, by inviting different spirits into their body and asking for those spirits to heal them. It is a very private and family-centered event and is very rarely shared with the outside world. It is important to note that Gnawa Lila is not an exorcism. A Lila has 3 major sections: the warm-up, the section where they ask for blessings from Prophet Muhammad, and the central ritual where the trance happens. During the central ritual, the 7 spirits, or malak, are summoned and are asked to visit the bodies of those who are ill. These spirits are similar in concept to the saints in Christianity. In order to invite the spirits, the Gnawa musicians play musical pieces that represent certain spirits, and the person who is supposed to receive those spirits in their body is dressed in a color or multiple colors that represent the specific spirit. For example, Lala Malika is a spirit known to love singing and dancing, and her representing color is purple. During Lala Malika's visit at the Lila, everyone in the room started dancing, and the hosting family invited their guests, including myself and other students who were there, to get up and join them. That's when this picture was taken of myself and other students on the right side of the screen. Up to that point, I still had doubts about the whole idea of music and healing, and also the idea of trance. But it was at that moment that I realized, again, that just because something is different from my culture and what I'm already familiar with doesn't mean that it's wrong or that it's not real. When in trance, individuals dance by bending their back, placing both hands on their back, and moving their body side to side while also shaking their head side to side. The dancing gets more intense as the trance progresses and until the spirit has possessed them. When in trance, a person may scream or lose consciousness and fall to the floor or start speaking in tongues. When a spirit has finished their work of healing the person inside their body, the spirit leaves the person's body, and the person who had spirits inside them falls out of the trance and regains their consciousness. My experience of studying abroad in Morocco taught me that just because something is different doesn't mean that it should be dismissed or that it is not worth of respect. There are cultures beyond my knowledge and imagination in this world, and those differences between the cultures is what makes our society rich. It is especially important for future educators like me to be accepting and open-minded towards new ideas, as there will be a time where I'll come across students whose backgrounds and cultures are vastly different from mine. And again, different doesn't mean wrong. So whatever those differences may be, teachers should not judge or dismiss their students or their families for their culture but instead should acknowledge, respect, and accommodate those cultural values to the best of their abilities. Because by being aware of students' cultures, the teachers promote a sense of belonging and safety for each student to thrive developmentally, academically, and socially. A way teachers can do this is by making sure that all students feel represented both in the curriculum and in the classroom, and also making sure that there is the atmosphere of open-mindedness and respect among students. Shukran, or thank you for tuning in for my presentation today. I hope that this helped your understanding of Morocco and its rich culture, as well as the benefits of studying abroad. If you have any questions about this presentation or my experience abroad, please feel free to reach out to me.